ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So everyone is ready to enjoy the weekend? Is it a busy weekend? Is it supposed to be the long weekend?
Yesterday was holiday, some people, yeah.
Okay. So I'm feeling very, very grateful to be here. Plus, I feel very comfortable because a lot of my dear friends are here. And there are a few young adults that I see who have grown up over the years. They were children, now they are grown up adults. Wow. Teenagers. So thank you, Rajashekar Prabhu. He's always been very kind. I like places where I get good food. Anyways, since a lot of faces here seemingly make me confident that the DNA is of Indian origin. Isn't it? So it is but natural that we have heard of a few personalities who are worshipable in many households. One great personality, such personality is Lord Shiva. We worship Lord Shiva? Yes. And his good wife, Devi Parvati, isn't it? They have two famous sons. The eldest one is Kartikeya. The younger one is Ganesh. So since they are the sons of Shiva and Parvati, they're supposed to be brothers, right? They're supposed to be brothers, siblings, isn't it? Anyone here who's never heard of Kartikeya? Everyone who's heard of Kartikeya, please raise up your hands. Oh, so everyone knows Kartikeya, great. So you heard of this famous story where there was some clarification that the two brothers needed in terms of who is more dear to the parents, to Shiva and Parvati. Have you heard of that? When I tell you the story, you will suddenly remember the story. So it happens. It's quite common to try and seek more attention from your parents, or more attention from someone that you really respect, somebody that you look up to. It's quite common, isn't it? How many of us have been practicing Krishna consciousness for quite some years? I'm not speaking of the children, they don't have a choice. It's their culture, isn't it? Growing up in Krishna consciousness. But the adults, the parents, how many of us have been practicing Krishna consciousness for quite some time? Please raise up your hands. Okay, so you know the concept of God brothers, God sisters, isn't it? Yes. In India, we simply say Guru Bhai, Guru Bhai. But I guess this has become more acceptable, I guess. God sister and God brother. Guru Bandhu. Disciples of the same teacher from different cities, different backgrounds. So there will be a lot of occasions. Is there some fluctuation? No? Okay, there will be a lot of opportunities that each one of us will get to try and append another God brother or God sister. It's but natural. You know what appending means? Does everyone know what appending means? No, appending. It means trying to show off that one is better than the other. And doesn't mean that we do better. We try to show how the other person is lesser. That happens amongst siblings. So why shouldn't it happen amongst God siblings? Yes? So it happens on all planes of life. So here we have Kartikeya and Ganesha wanting to clarify who is most dear to Shiva and Parvati. So Mother Parvati, she looks at Lord Shiva and says, okay, this is in your court. I'm not going to get involved in this. Typical. Mother Parvati knows that ultimately Lord Shiva has to take up the tough tasks. Isn't it? It's so easy to say that now the person who's supposed to be the caretaker, it could be the government, it could be senator, or in our context it could be mentor, counselor, guru, whatever. You just put the complete onus on them in certain matters. So Mother Parvati did the same thing. She put the total onus on Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva accepted the responsibility. He says, all right, there will be a contest, and anyone who goes around the world once, the fastest, will get more attention and affection. Now you remember the story, some of you? So what happened in this case? Kartikeya flew off on his Vahana. So what was his Vahana called as?
Peacock.
No, his Vahana is a space shuttle. That space shuttle is designed as a peacock. Don't we do that when we go for rides? We design rides as a dragon. Right? Now they have tried to come up with, I guess, some processor in medicine, I guess, or somewhere with living brain cells. They're trying to do that. Because ultimately brain cells, they are just atoms and molecules, aren't they? So when we speak of Kartikeya's vehicle, it is not dead metal. It is life. Hence, in depictions, we show it as a peacock that we know of. That is a depiction. But it is a highly advanced form of, technologically it's highly advanced form of transportation. And somebody like Kartikeya should have that. Because he has the resources for that. His mother is really, really very rich. Kartikeya's mother is very rich. She's Parvati. She owns the material world. But Kartikeya is a very, very decent gentleman, decent son. He's not a spoiled child. He's not a brat. So I guess they raised him up nicely. So when Kartikeya gets on his peacock and flies off. Now Ganesh ji, he has his Vahan as a Mushik. Mushik is a mouse. So one has a Mor Vahana, the other is the Mushika Vahana. You should remember these names. Otherwise, you are always going to call it just a peacock or a mouse. No, it is a Mushika Vahana. It was never a Mushik. Alright? Just as here means of transportation are called as, in our world, are called as trains, buses. So Kartikeya's means of transport is a Mora Vahana. And Ganesha's mode of transport is a Mushik Vahana. Now, a Mushik Vahana moves slower than a Mor Vahana. A Mushik Vahana has got more stealth elements to it than a Mor Vahana. So it moves slower. So Ganesh knew that he could never ever beat Kartikeya while flying around the world. So what did he do? What did Ganesha do? Does anyone know? What did Ganesha do? See, you all always jump to the essence. But no, Ganesha was sitting and eating laddus. Why would he just go around his parents? He's like, hey, let me enjoy the laddus till this person, my brother, he goes around the world. You have to be very tactful, right? And according to our scriptures, there is none who can beat Ganesha at tact. He's very intelligent. Kartikeya is very powerful. So Kartikeya has got physical strength and Ganesha has got intellectual strength. Vis-a-vis, when you compare the two. So whenever there is a need for physical strength, like wars, Kartikeya is there. Do you see Ganesha in wars? But whenever there is need for schemes, thinking, plans, Ganesha is involved. So Ganesh, he was sitting and eating his laddus. No, He's still not convinced that he should be eating ice cream. He still eats laddus. What can we do? Should we invite him to our place? So he's eating laddus. Now, Mother Parvati is a little concerned. Lord Shiva is Lord Shiva. He never ever becomes disturbed except if someone really crosses the line. But Mother Parvati is Mother Parvati. She's concerned. She's looking at Ganesh and she's like, what are you doing? But she trusted him. Maybe he has a plan. So he was eating laddus. And right when Kartikeya was on the horizon, coming up to that point from where he had begun flying, Ganesha gets up, dusts off his dhoti, rubs all the crumbs off his hands, and goes around his parents, the seat on which his parents were sitting. And he completes one whole circle around them. By the time Kartikeya arrives, and Kartikeya is like, hey, how come you are here before me? And Ganesha said, I never left. So does that mean I won? So Lord Shiva, he keeps quiet. He lets Ganesh handle the situation. So Ganesh says, no, actually I won. And I also ate laddus. So the story goes that in this case, since Lord Shiva and Parvati are the sum total of the entire material universe, plus they're also parents. So as long as your children, parents are responsible for taking care of you, isn't it? So your whole world is the parents. That is the idea. Or, from a little philosophical point of view, center of the universe. They are the sum total of the universal existence. So Ganesha says he won. Kartikeya is concerned. So that is where the story actually ends for most of us. But the real conclusion of the story is a little different, which most probably you may not have heard before. And therefore, that puts me in a very pretty spot. I got to show off that I know more. Isn't it? And who doesn't like that to happen in their life? So everyone who can say, oh, this person, he always has information that no one has heard before. What can be more pleasing to the ears than self-glory? So here, this is me enjoying myself, my own glory. So the consideration is that both of them, they were correct in their choices. And it is important that one tries to be successful from both points of view. One is tries to be successful while engaging with the external world, and the other is, which Kartikeya is doing. What is the external world? The external world is the world of senses. And one has to also be successful while engaging with your intellectual perception. How you perceive intellectually actions and reactions. So you have to use your senses for external efforts, plus you have to be thoughtful at the same time. Correct? But the point is that Ganesh and Kartikeya, they had some tiff. And what should you do? Because it seems so natural for tiffs to be amongst individuals, tiffs happening, some distrust, mistrust, misunderstanding, or trying to push one other person down, or trying to show off how we and aham mameti, I and mine, are better than others. What should we do with that? Why is it important to deal with it? It is important to deal with it because it is a huge distraction in our lives. It takes away our very essential life energy in a direction that is not productive, that is not helpful at all. Trying to engage with other person in terms of their private life is very time consuming. Just imagine, after your children are grown up, you're trying to completely be a part of their private lives. How time consuming is that? Don't you tell your children after a certain point of time that, hey, you have to be responsible for your actions, we are no longer going to take care of these things? Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Don't you at one point of time let your children know that you are there to support them, you are with them to give them moral support? Do you really want to interfere in their private lives? Especially after they get married, do you want to do that? Does anyone want to do that? How does it feel when you have your elders interfering with your married life? Does it make it simpler or does it make it more complicated? Very complicated. Correct?
Yes.
Now imagine you as an individual or a family unit trying to interfere with other people who are already married in their private lives and affairs, telling them what to do and how to do it. Now your children exactly know, growing up with you, and once they are adults, they know your strengths and weaknesses. But imagine a completely unaware party. They accept this transaction with you. All right, Prabhuji, Mataji, Sir, Madam, we are going to live life from now onwards according to your vision, your perception. What we are going to eat, how when we are going to sleep, we are going to sign up cards on which we are going to write all of that and submit unto you. Wow. That's serious interference in other people's private lives, isn't it? What happens when we do that in the lives of our children who actually know our strengths and weaknesses to a certain extent? What is the feedback that comes to us? We are opening ourselves to similar feedbacks from so many other families. Because we have convinced them, or somehow they have convinced us, that actually we are family. We are like siblings. So if that is a consideration, then be ready for tiffs. Be ready for misunderstandings, because Puranic stories clearly explain that. So what should we do? How should we deal with such situations? Because as soon as you accept that kind of responsibility, your time and energy has to be invested there. Now there is a very interesting, because see, when anyone makes a presentation, they are only going to choose all those pramanas, all those supporting evidences that will support their presentation. So it is going to be biased. So we are going to be very, very choosy of references that we are going to take from scriptures. Pick and choose, isn't it? So you have to allow me that. Isn't it? So please don't accept whatever I say as Veda Vakya. There's only one person who can convincingly say that my words are Veda Vakya, and that is the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Everyone else is trying to present what they understand of what is Veda Vakya. Is it correct or is it not? If it was not correct, then why would Lord Krishna say that time and again this knowledge gets destroyed and I have to come and re-establish it? Right? So since I am going to pick and choose, this is what I choose now. Where have I picked it from? From the nectar of devotion. And what is the statement of the nectar of devotion? One should not accept too many disciples. Have you heard that before? How many of you have heard that before? See, I like, that is why I like, we are both Marathi people. He is from Nagpur and from Mumbai. Why? Because you have to invest so much of your time and energy therein. And if you don't invest that, then it really rebounds back. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada will say, I got a headache. Right? Okay. So now I've established my premise. I'm sorry if it's sounding like very, very serious. Forget it. This is something that you should hear from one ear and let it go out of the other ear. If you're not very serious of finishing off your life in Krishna consciousness this lifetime, then you can do that. But if you're really serious that this lifetime you have to finish off a Krishna consciousness, then okay, these considerations have to be really looked at. Where am I going to invest my time and energy? Would I want to be the savior of just one life that is mine? Or do I want to become the savior of a few other lives? Let us have that clarity. Because once we have that clarity, then maybe at one point of time we could say like Srila Prabhupada said, Kichwar nahi. I don't need anything else. I don't need. I'm done. Okay? So, today's topic is a little different from yesterday's topic. Yesterday's topic was, yeah, it was according to the audience that I was facing. Today, I see a lot of people who are like nodding their heads when I'm speaking about certain things in scripture, so I know that I'm amongst pundits now. I'm amongst learned people, so you use the word very commonly. Let us have deep discussions. So yeah, today we'll see if we can be deep. Is that all right? Is that the kind of audience we have? Or no? Or is it a mixed audience? I don't know what audience it is.
All of them are devotees.
Okay, so we can go into deep discussion. Because haven't you heard this word a lot of times? We have to go deep in your Krishna consciousness. So let us dip ourselves and go deep. The children, if you can pay attention. Otherwise, if you want to zone out. It's like another lecture that you've been hearing from your parents since you were like 2 years old. It's going to be like that. So that's the premise, all right, that we face a challenge like that. So completely changing track. I'll come to a wonderful episode that has been described in a beautiful, beautiful grantha of beautiful, beautiful book. You know what is the difference between a holy book and a grantha? I mean, I told you I'm biased. So because I'm from India, I'll be biased about certain words. Do you know what is? For somebody whose first language may not be English, what is a holy book? A book that is supposed to be worshipped. That gives you, yeah. Somebody was scriptures, correct? That is another English word, very good word.
A book which describes about God.
A book that describes about God. You know what is a grantha? What is the meaning of a grantha? A grantha is a set of instructions that can help you break free from granthi, from the bondages of life. That is grantha. Now, which scripture does the idea of scripture bring in that approach? Or does the idea of scripture bring in the approach that, oh, this is a holy book, and if I follow instructions, I'll get mercy? No, grantha says mercy is there, but you have to work to free yourself from bondage. That is grantha. And hence, we are going to refer to a grantha today. Alright? Which grantha? Chaitanya Bhagavat. The author is Vrindavan Das Thakur. Many of you may or may not have heard of this reference in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And if you have heard, then maybe it's not very commonly referred to. So again, I get to be in the limelight. See? Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is trying to be a very, very strict teacher through this instruction. So there is strictness therein. It's like do's or don'ts. You know, he's like, all right, you are 2 minutes late for class. Sorry. You cannot attend class. That kind of instruction. What does it say? Sabaro Koriba. Why don't you repeat after me? Sabara Koriba.
Sabara Koriba.
Gaura Sundara Uddhara.
Gaura Sundara Uddhara.
Vyatirikta Vaishnav Nindaka.
Vyatirikta Vaishnava Nindaka.
Durachar.
Durachar.
Now, if I were to do this according to how we live in the Western civilization, then I would have said Savara Koriba, stop there, Gaura Sundar Uddhara, and then I would have broken up the word as Vyatirikta Vaishnava, Nindaka Durachar. But breaking up that word, now Nindak gets attached to Durachar, which is not how the verse is. Sometimes you do that. There are certain rules of grammar called as Sandhi. Two words are joined to each other. Therefore, they should not be broken up such that it appears that they are joined with the adjoining word. So, Vaishnava Nindaka. What is a Vaishnava Nindaka? A Vaishnava Nindaka is a person whose actions are very, very harmful. Harmful to whom? Whom are the actions harmful to? Offend a Vaishnava. But who are the actions harmful towards? Harmful towards the self. The self. And because those emotions harm the self, then there is a possibility that it could harm others too. A healthy person would never want to harm anyone else. Is it true? Especially if you have good mental health and emotional health, would you want to harm anyone else? What does it take to harm another person? First of all, your own mental and physical, emotional state should be in disarray. Correct? So having our own emotional and physical self unhealthy That is a disease, isn't it? And such a person commits durachar. Durachar means actions that are harmful. Okay? Like some of us, which are addicted to eating a lot of pickle, especially the spicy one. And if we do not pay attention to our increasing age and the quantity of pickle, that should decrease according to the inversely proportional, isn't it? Why? Because after some time, we are harming our stomach. Is it correct or is it not?
Yes.
The same goes with sweets. The same goes with cheese, fat. According to their age, the quantity that we eat should, rising age, decrease the quantity. Is it correct?
Yes.
Very correct. Therefore, growing up in India, you would always, when our generation would always see our elders saying, no, give the milk to the children. We don't need it. It is not that they're being very sacrificing. It's just common sense. Alright? It's common sense that as you grow older, you have to cut down on your paneer, especially with Ekadashi coming in. The children can have it. Let them have as much as they want. But if you're 40 plus, trim. If you're in your 60s, think as if you're in another body, you have taken another birth, and you cannot deal with so much of fat, carbs that a child can deal with, a growing child, right? So durachar, what does durachar mean? Knowingly, because of unhealthy habits. What does unhealthy habit indicate? It indicates diseased emotions. Emotionally one is diseased and therefore one has unhealthy habits. Is that correct? See, it's so simple, isn't it? And then our actions become durachar. Isn't it? After 6 months of really cutting down on sugar, one day you splurge on carbs. Like, is it really needed? But then what can we do? Oh, it's all right. One day I can take a break. So, durachar. What is a Vaishnava Nindaka? A Vaishnava Nindaka is somebody who always is insecure, who always is concerned about one's status. Who is a Vaishnava Nindaka? Now, it would be very easy to just give its literal meaning. One who offends a Vaishnava. But that literal meaning makes as much sense as the dollar price going up. The gas price going up. Even if it goes up, you still have to pay for it. So even if you are committing Vaishnava to you're offending a Vaishnava, you know that you'll still do it when time comes. Correct? So who is a Vaishnava Nindaka? A Vaishnava Nindaka is somebody who is very, very insecure. And that insecurity is amongst what we call as God family. Just as in regular life, siblings become insecure of each other when they grow up, and if they have needs which require them to have more than what is their share. Like they'll fight with each other for property. Do you know in Tamil Nadu there are two brothers fighting right now. The Marans. Kalanidhi and Dayanidhi Maran. Tycoons. I mean, if I speak about Sarvabhauma Prabhu and his brother fighting, who cares? They're not fighting. They are not. So, Shabara Koriba Gaura Sundar Uddhar, everyone has the right to be benedicted by Lord Gaura Sundar. That is what he is saying. I am not saying that. Alright? It's not me saying. Am I saying this? How can I say it? I'm just repeating what Vrindavan Das Thakur says. So if you are happy with what he says, say thank you to him. Sabara Uddhar. Sabara means everyone. Uddhar means benefit, liberation, receiving benediction. So everyone has the right, because he says Koribo. Koribo, this word means he will benedict. Who will benedict? Lord Gaura Sundar will benedict everyone. Every single entity, not just humans. Every single entity, living entity will be benedicted by Lord Gaura Sundar. Vyatirikta, except fine print. Why do such great personalities give fine prints? Come on. Shouldn't they be more broad-minded? But still they give this fine print. Vyatirikta, except on black days. No concession. So this concession is not receivable by Vaishnava Nindaka Durachar. Is that alright? So when does he come to this point in his story? When does he give this instruction in his story? So let us go to the story. Once upon a time, in the beautiful, beautiful land of Navadvip, Mayapur Dham, Shri Gaura Sundar and Nitai Sundar. Have you heard of these two personalities? How many of you have heard of Nitai Sundar? Please raise up your hands. Have you heard of Nitai Sundar? You've not heard of Nitai Sundar? Okay, have you heard of Gaura Sundar? Please raise up your hands. So Sundar is their family name. That's his brothers. So if Gaura Sundar is Gaura Sundar, he's Gauranga, Gaura Sundar. So who would Nityananda be? Nitai Sundar, see? So one should not shy away from calling Nityananda Prabhu also as Nitai Sundar. And it is not who. It's not me who's saying that. This reverence for Nityananda Prabhu in love is reflected in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Lord Nityananda is also called as Nitai Sundar. So next time if you want to name a child as just Nityananda, you may consider the name Nitai Sundar also. Don't just stick to Gaura Sundar, please. Nitai Sundar is also a bona fide name of Lord Nityananda.
Wrong audience.
Sorry?
Wrong audience.
Why?
Everybody has their own child now.
Well, you know how you always tell another human being, "Oh, just like my son, my daughter." So, like, or lovingly you can call them, Nitai Sundar. See, I'm very smart. I know how to get out of a tight situation. Many times I try to get out of a tight situation. So Gaura Sundar and Nitai Sundar were walking down the streets of Navadvip. So, especially Mayapur Dham. So Navadvip is a huge territory. Mayapur Dham is more specific. It's a town. So they were walking down the main road of Mayapur Dham. So this main road is right besides the flowing river Ganga. Right beside that. Any idea why? Why would most of the roads that we hear of in the past would be besides a river, if there's a river in the town? Bank of river. Very simple. It would be a raised road. So it's like a dike, isn't it? Gives protection from the waters in case of if there is too much water. Just civic sense, just city planning. So they were walking along that road and they were enjoying the scenic beauty of Mayapur Dham, isn't it? Who is watching them enjoy this beauty? Brahmaji. Brahmaji is looking down from his planet. Somebody just informed me, hey, the two lords are walking down the street of Mayapur. He's like, really? So he looks down upon them walking along the street and he sees that they are so happy. Brahmaji feels his life is fulfilled. It is as if he's got A's. Because Brahmaji is an architect. His project, one of his projects is Mayapur. And when he sees his master, somebody he really reveres a lot, when he sees they are so satisfied with his creation, Brahmaji is like, I did well. My Lord is enjoying the creation that I have created. My life is fulfilled. He considered himself to be very, very fortunate. The Lord is looking so mercifully at my artistic work. Since then, Brahmaji carries a certificate of that in his house. Gaura Sundar and Nitya Sundar have certified that I am the best architect, city planner. It appeared that two beautiful moons were walking down the street of Mayapur. Now in poetry, somehow or the other they are very, very biased towards moons. If you love someone, now even Krishna, he never asked his mother, can you give me the sun? He also wants the moon. That shining thing in the sky, I want it. Not the sun. No one ever says that I will offer you the sun because you are the love of my life. They'll say, I'll bring down the moon for you. So you see, there's a bias towards the moon. So if you want to glorify someone as being very beautiful, it makes sense calling them or comparing them to the moon. So it appeared like two moons were walking down the streets of Navadvip. And everyone was mesmerized. People just stopped and stared at them. The animals and the birds just stopped and could not blink because they were simply drinking in the nectar of the beauty of the forms of the two lords, Shri Gaura Sundar and Nitya Sundar. Sundar means beautiful. Therefore, these names are apt. So when Brahmaji was looking down, the news spread to the other devas, the other managers in the universe. Hey, our CEO is looking down on our owners. Immediately the message through their internal network, it spread. So now the devas are also watching the two lords working. They gave up all of them working on, they said, on auto mode. We are putting the universe on auto mode. We also have to see these beautiful forms. So they were looking down on the two forms of Lord Gauranga and Nityananda Prabhu. And now Devas, Brahmaji is self-content. Now he has 4 heads. So if he wants to talk with anyone, he can talk with, each head can talk with the other head, right? So he's self-content. But the Devas need to talk with each other, right? So the Devas, you know what the Devas are? Who are the Devas? Indra, Vayu, Agni. These are the Devas. So the Devas were talking amongst themselves, and somehow they had all this poetic emotions arising within them. So therefore they had to just speak in terms of moons, right? So one Deva talks to his friend, another Devata, and he says, my God, it looks as if the moons and two of them have descended on the earth. And therefore I am confused. That is my Swarga, is our heaven? Because heaven cannot be heaven without the moon. And is the earth still the earth? Because now the earth has two moons. So the Devatas now felt that their heaven is actually earth, and earth is actually heaven. And very interestingly, they did not feel insecure about it. Oh, our real estate prices have fallen. My heaven has become earth. And earth real estate prices have gone up. No insecurity. And since heaven is now earth, so who resides on earth? Earthly beings. And who resides in heaven? Heavenly beings. Therefore, now they are convinced that since the two moons is down there, so that which is earth is actually heaven. Therefore, all the residents in Mayapur are all heavenly beings now, and they are earthly beings. And they felt very happy about it. As of yet, they were not feeling insecure. Maybe later on they feel insecure. And they say, why are you two there? You should come back here to our planet. But as of yet, they were just so engrossed in seeing the Lord. Then one of them said, even if we are heaven and that is earth, what is our heaven? We always had only one moon. But this earth has got two moons. And hence, they are much more fortunate than we are. Because they have two moons at the same time. Hence, earth, even as earth, is much superior than heaven, which can still be heaven. Hence, earth is much superior than the upper planetary systems. Because the Supreme Lords are now walking on the earth and living their transcendental imprints on earth, their footprints on earth. It is not very amazing that Brahmaji, the Devatas, they completely forgot who they are. And they're totally infatuated by the forms of the two lords. Because the forms of the two lords are so resplendent that even the Vedas, the scriptures, the Granthas, are not able to comprehend. So the next time you feel that you can comprehend the forms of the Lord, then you are really great, because you are better than the Vedas. The next time you feel that, oh, today it felt so nice seeing the darshan of the Lord, that moment you have ascended to a platform higher than the Vedas. Because the Vedas also have never had that experience. Although they are glorifying the Lord since time immemorial, they still feel that they are not able to properly glorify the Lord. And when we do a little Shringar and feel good about it, my God, we must be better than the Vedas, definitely. Isn't it? In this way, Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, the son of Jagannath Mishra, were walking on the street. Vishwambhar, Lord Gauranga, he turned to Nityananda and he said, I somehow feel the urge to go and visit Advaita Acharya at his house. Now, where does Advaita Acharya live? So, Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda were staying in Plano. And Advaita Acharya was living in Irving. So they had to cover that distance. So Advaita Acharya lived in Shantipur at that time, and they were living in Mayapur. So Lord Gauranga suddenly felt the urge that let us go and visit Advaita Acharya. And since they had to just follow the banks of the Ganga, when we go to Shantipur, we have to go really around about way. Because we use our vehicles. If you could just swim in the Ganga and go downstream towards Shantipur, it would be a shorter distance. So, or if you want to walk, you could walk along the banks of the Ganga. So the two lords, when Nityananda Prabhu heard this, he became very joyful. And he said, yes, let's do that. So they were walking in Mayapur, suddenly they decide they want to go to Shantipur to meet Advaita Acharya. No one is there to stop them. They don't have to report to anyone that, oh, should we tell Mother Sachi? Mother Sachi is like, what can I do? My son is all crazy. He just goes on doing whatever he wants to do. So she's already used to it. So they just leave. And as they're passing one neighborhood to another neighborhood, it's the same effect with all the residents. The residents just drop all their tasks and they are just mesmerized by the forms of the two Lord. Completely mesmerized. So halfway down the road to Shantipur, they come to a village called as Lalitapur. Nityananda Prabhu has been to Lalitapur before. You see, Nityananda Prabhu is the older brother, right? So he got his driver's license much earlier. So he has driven around the neighborhoods. So he knows Lalitapur. So Nityananda Prabhu says, in this village, there is a sannyasi. He's a grahastha sannyasi. Have you heard this term before? Do you think this word would be very meaningful in today's times? Think about this word as followers of ISKCON. Grahastha sannyasi. Interesting?
Yes.
Do you think we can have a category, a section of our society living like that? Grahastha sannyasi, you know what is a grahastha sannyasi? A grahastha sannyasi is a sannyasi that has a wife and house and property. So about 540 years ago, that section of society was existent, I guess. But in our society, we don't have such a category.
Is there even saffron sannyasi in Grihastha like that? Or
Is there a white sannyasi also?
like by consciousness? Because they say current
So-
Varnashrama, even Grihastha
So
like
in our by consciousness, by consciousness, do we have a category called as grahastha sannyasi? So those who took vanaprastha, they're grahastha sannyasi. Just accept that there is some category like that, then we have no idea what it is. We'll see what it is, what is the interaction that they had. But interesting concept. Grahastha sannyasi, we don't have. In today's times, in our society, we don't have any category like that. And most probably, after hearing the rendition, you may think that good if we don't have. But whatever it is. So Nityananda Prabhu says, Sei grame grahastha sannyasi eka ache. There is a grahastha sannyasi in this village. And Lord Chaitanya says, oh, we are so fortunate. We can visit a sannyasi. Let's go and visit the sannyasi. So, they go to visit the sannyasi. They reach his house. So the sannyasi welcomes them. When Lord Gauranga sees the sannyasi, he immediately offers his Dandvat pranams. his obeisances to the sannyasi. When the sannyasi's eyes fall on the form of the two lords, and especially when he sees Lord Gauranga, he is completely enchanted by his form, his limbs, his smiling face. And he shows so overwhelmed that he immediately offers a benediction. He says Ashirvad. And what is the Ashirvad he says? What is the Ashirvad he gives? What is the benediction blessing he offers to Lord Gauranga? Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, Santoshe sannyasi kare bahu ashirvad, he says. Take lots of blessings from me. Santoshe sannyasi kare bahu ashirvad, dhana vangsha suvivaha ho vidyalabh. He says, may you have a lot of wealth. May you have many children and grandchildren. And for that, suvivaha. May you have a wonderful marriage. Find a very compatible companion. And may you have knowledge that will help you achieve a good spouse, good wealth, and children and grandchildren. May you have any knowledge needed for that. When Lord Gauranga heard this, he was shocked. He looked at Nityananda Prabhu and then he said, I have to speak up, I have to express my mind. Prabhu kahe, Gosai, e na hai Ashirvad. He said, my dear Gosai, my dear sannyasi. When you will call somebody a Gosai, Goswami, typically it is used for sannyasis. Today we use it for a few other contexts. Right? In the society that Vrindavan Das Thakur is expressing, is writing about that society, a Goswami was a term used only for sannyasis. And for a long time in Indian society, the word Goswami was used only for sannyasis. Right? And even if you read Nectar of Instruction, the explanation of the word Goswami has been given in Nectar of Instruction. Which verse is it? First verse. Isn't it? Lengthy description. Does it describe a sannyasi? A Goswami? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj describes a Goswami as Prabhupada's word. What do you see? He's quoting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. What does he say? Goswami is somebody who's controlled his senses and it refers to renunciate. So for a long time this word was only used for sannyasis. Therefore, here, Gosai nahe, my dear sir, or sannyasi Maharaj, Gosai Maharaj, this is not a blessing. Hana bole tore hao Krishnera prasad. What you should be saying or offering in blessing is that may you have the mercy of Krishna. That should be a blessing that you should offer. So, I think as a sannyasi, it is not appropriate that you give me blessings like this. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a scholar, so he cannot give a proposition without supporting evidence or praman. So he says, Vishnu Bhakti Ashirvada Akshaya Abhyaya. So the benediction of having the opportunity to do devotional service unto Lord Vishnu, that benediction is Akshaya. Akshaya means inexhaustible. And Avyaya, never lost. Akshay is actually never lost. And Avyaya is inexhaustible, incomparable. So the benediction of having the opportunity to render Vishnu service the fruits of that is never lost. It is eternally to our credit. And therefore, dear sannyasi, please, it does not behoove you to give me any other benediction. The sannyasi, when he hears the words of Lord Chaitanya, he is not happy. So within his mind, he is thinking, if you offer good advice to people nowadays, they respond in such an uncivilized manner. Today, I personally have experienced that. This person is the son of a Brahmana. He is the son of such an intelligent, he is born in such an intelligent and well-educated family. And his knowledge of worldly affairs is so perverted. He is so wrong in his understanding of knowledge. Because I happily give him benediction of having wealth. And instead of appreciating my blessing, he is finding faults in me. I'm older in age to him. I'm a sannyasi. And still he is rebuking me. Who gives benedictions that you may have wealth, you may live happily? Nobody in this world does that. And I'm offering that to him, and still he is not being grateful about it. So he spoke up. He said, "Oh, Brahman Putra, oh son of a Brahmana, why are you criticizing my benediction? If somebody who isn't born in this world never ever tastes wonderful pizza filled with cheese offered to Krishna, then what is the use of them chanting Hare Krishna? If somebody in this world is not enjoying the various flavors of cake and ice cream that has been offered to Krishna, then what is the use of having senses?" That is not what he said. I'm paraphrasing. What he said is, if one who has taken birth in this world does not know the pleasure of sense enjoyment. And what is sense enjoyment? The sense of taste. The pleasure of hearing somebody glorify you. That is sense pleasure, isn't it? The pleasure of wanting to speak good only about people that you like. Who wouldn't want to enjoy such kind of sense pleasure, having taken birth, having been educated? Who wouldn't want to do that? And I am awarding you benedictions that would help you make such enjoyment be easy. I'm offering a blessing that may you have a huge community of people that you feel are your own, and you can glorify them on their birthday every year. Appreciation for their services. Every single year, and after 10 years you're wondering, what more can I speak about them? Next time I have to write an offering to somebody I respect, I'm wondering, therefore I will listen to other classes where they're glorified and pick up that glorification and make it as my offering. Practical things happening in the lives of now. So if you receive a blessing like that we may have so many opportunities where it would be easy to glorify another person's action that we respect so much for the next 80 years to come, wouldn't that make life easy? So he's saying, why can't you appreciate that? Why can't you appreciate me giving you a blessing That you may have a big community of people that are always telling you, Prabhu, if it had not been you, Mataji, if it had not been you, you could have never ever survived, you know. Our parents are materialistic, our family is materialistic, our friends are materialistic, the shopkeepers are materialistic, the government is materialistic. Even the rides that we go on, those rides are materialistic people. But you are the saving grace for us. Wouldn't we like to have the blessing to have a community like that which can we glorify them, they glorify us, and this way life goes on? Wouldn't we want to have a community which knows 10 ways of making just plain moong dal and rice khichdi with a different flavor? What to speak about chole bhature, sense of taste. So look at such a wonderful blessing that he is giving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, all of these are vyaya. They are kshaya. They will get exhausted. The only thing that is inexhaustible is Vishnu Bhakti. Lord Gauranga, what can we do? He is making life so difficult for us. I mean, if he had simply accepted that benediction and said thank you, we could have said we are following the footsteps of Lord Gauranga. No, we cannot even do that. So why do you criticize my blessings? Because if we have not tasted sense pleasure to a certain extent, having received a human body, what is the meaning of life? And in the pursuit of sense enjoyment, if one has not accumulated wealth, if one has not accumulated prestige, then what is the use of life? Are you saying that you are embarrassed to receive my benediction? So many a times, there are so many ways that we try to define pure devotional service in terms that is not exactly pure devotional service. We are very, very shy of calling a spade a spade. Like if someone tells us that, Prabhu, is it alright, or Mataji, is it alright if, or we ask someone that, for so many years I've been chanting Hare Krishna, but somehow the other it's not. What is the word that we typically use? It is not sincere chanting. Only God knows how do we define that word sincere. Because none of us have come with the definition, no parameters of what sincere means. Correct? Because we may be sitting in our Padmasana position and chanting 16 rounds at a stretch for so many years, but still we'll never ever stop from asking a question of somebody else. How do you chant sincerely?
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a
Friend.
phone a friend?
For a friend.
For a friend. So then we come up with definitions of, oh, this is alright, oh, this is okay. What we very conveniently leave out is that it is okay because that is all we can do right now. However, there's definitely going to be reactions to actions that we perform. So if we are going to be convinced that just because devotional service frees you from all reactions, very good, we can live with that conviction in life. And then don't ask questions that, how can I be more sincere? Because if you are already convinced that devotional service has given us the topmost, the best kavach of protection, then why are we making an inquiry how to improve, to become more sincere in chanting? So either we have to accept the fact that things that we are okay with in the practicing of devotional service means that we have to accept ownership of the actions that will give us reactions in life. It's perfectly okay to be like that, because that simply shows that we are on a journey and the journey is in the right direction. Otherwise, there is a possibility that most of us will be confused about what our identity is as a devotee. Because our identity is not as a devotee, it is as a practicing devotee. Just as Prabhupada said, when you take admission into medical school, sometimes people may call you a doctor. But you are just training yourself to be a doctor. So similarly, we are just training ourselves to be a devotee. And sometimes it takes an entire lifetime of training to become a devotee. So we are always practicing devotees. Now it wouldn't be why use so many words, right? How do you glorify someone that, oh, they have been such a committed practicing devotee for 10 years? Doesn't sound very, very palatable. So what do you say? They have been a committed devotee for 10 years. Sounds palatable. Now if we are convinced about that and they are convinced about it, this is a very wonderful society. Because in this society, there is no need to be concerned about how to be more sincere, because already certificates have been given. I have established that you are a good devotee, you have established that I am a good devotee, certificates have been exchanged. So now we should not worry about, oh, how can I be more sincere in devotional practice? Forget worrying, certificates are already there. And after you have a certificate that you are an engineer, do you have to worry that how to be a good engineer? No. Your certificate says that you're qualified as an engineer, you'll get the position at work. And is it very practical to give certificates that you are a very good practicing devotee? Not very practical, right? So the point here is being addressed is that how is it possible that you want some limited forms of sense enjoyment? You also want to see that it can be included under the term pure devotional service. And you don't work to get that sense enjoyment by making money, by making wealth. How is it possible? Therefore, if someone gives you a benediction to make wealth, to have a good family, it seems to be a good blessing. So then the Lord, He smiled. When He heard the words of sannyasi, the Lord smiled. He looked at Nityan and He was, Hare Bape. My God. Is this what is happening in the world today? Is this the perspective that people have of life? So it goes like this. Oh my God. Do I have to deal with all of this now? So by doing this, Vrindavan Sadhu is saying that when the Lord this is trying to tell us, Tatari, at least now, please, Baba, at least now, give up your conviction in material attachment. Stop trying to dovetail your desire of wanting to enjoy your senses into actions of Krishna consciousness. Because you know that you've been doing it for so many years, it's not working. Stop dovetailing your desire to enjoy your senses. Just dovetail the actions that are your duties in terms of the senses. The senses, the way you use the senses, one way is to want to enjoy sense, whatever the senses offer, and another way is simply to do the duty. So you work as a doctor. You work as an engineer, but you don't want to enjoy the position of being a doctor or an engineer. That is called duty. And everyone has good training. Being a parent, you do it as a duty. Do you want to get any benefits from your children? No, we don't do that. So everyone who's lived through family life with children, they have developed the potential to offer unmotivated service to a large extent, because that is what you offer to your children. It is unmotivated service. There's no motivation behind it for your own sense gratification. It is only for their gratification. That is called a duty. So if there has to be engagement of senses, one has always to know what, and one is always to be aware of what is dharma, vyavahar dharma. How to use your tongue, how to use your ears, how to use your legs, such that you are doing your actions being duty bound, not performing your actions being desire bound. There's a difference between the two, isn't it? Most of you are good parents. You perform your actions, you gave everything to your children being duty bound, not desire bound. And hence you are able to make sacrifices for them. The reason being because you feel that they are a part of you. They are not different from you. So by a practice of Krishna consciousness, when we actually feel that we are not different from Krishna, because Krishna and I, family, Krishna is my family, then we may work being duty bound. Otherwise it will always be desire bound, and we'll be fighting against this impetus to perform actions that are stimulated by desires. Correct? Now, what is wrong with people? Just give me an explanation. Why nice idli, dosa, sambar, chutney eating people have transitioned to eating cakes, ice cream, with sprinkles on top? Growing up, did you ever have that? But now, because it is offered to Krishna, you develop a taste for it. Now you are engaging your senses in what? Have you ever felt like that about idli and sambar? Put sprinkles on it. Let the children have it, because the children, they did not grow up in such an environment. The neighbors are not also having idli sambar. The street next door is also not having idli sambar dosa. That's not the community. So the children have a different community. But we grew up in another, and then we find people like, oh, I went to Mayapur and ate all the cakes. Why? Just look for an idli sambar counter there. Because when you engage your tongue in that, you'll be doing it bound out of duty, not bound out of desires. And if you are doing it, if you want to engage in having cakes, do it in a very limited way, because your children want that. It should not be because you want it. Understand? I'm not saying that you should not transition. What I'm saying is the idea that people feel that their staple diet is not very attractive shows that we are not eating to live, but we are living to eat. Is it correct? Or am I making wrong assumptions? It's correct. Now, after practicing 30 years in Krishna consciousness, how many times do we have that perspective in life? Therefore, we'll always ask how to be more sincere in chanting. Because the previous day we had gone to Dairy Queen. Not because children wanted it, because we told the children, do you want to go to Dairy Queen today? Because we have also started liking the ice cream there. Do we tell them, oh, we have a nice idli sambar place coming up? No. Because for that, we just eat it because that is a staple diet. There's nothing special about it. So Mahaprabhu goes, oh my God, please don't do that again and again and again. Time and again in your life. So then he said, oh Sannyasi Maharaj, you will only eat what you are destined to eat, what is in your destiny. Is it correct? How easy it is for you to find real South Indian, because consider the community here is Hindi, Telugu speaking, some Tamil speaking, a few maybe from other parts of India, right? So hence I'm speaking about South Indian cuisine, right? How easy it is to have idlis wrapped in banana leaves, cooked here. Go back home to India. It's common fare. Maybe it's changing a bit now there, who knows. But it used to be very common. Flavored. The flavor of banana leaves. Steamed in banana leaves. Right or wrong?
Yes.
Today at least you have a garden here because the weather is good. But think in the winter, wanting fresh, you call it cilantro here, coriander. Come to India, even in winter you'll get it. Even in November, December you'll have that. Right? So when you are here, this is your destiny. You will only be able to eat cilantro from the cold storage in January and February. So that is destiny. You will eat only what your destiny allows you to eat. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, you cannot eat what you want to eat. So why give a blessing that you get enough wealth to eat whatever you want to eat? You will only eat what your destiny allows you to eat. Just as a newborn baby doesn't know what to drink because its destiny is only to drink mother's milk. Right? So if wealth and family life are the aim of life, then please tell me why they are taken away at death. Would you want to have aims in life that you have to ultimately lose? Is that how you have aims in life? Or do you want to achieve aims in life that you can, the results you can keep with yourself? So why have blessings that ultimately will be taken away from death? It is a very interesting paradox that no one wants fever. Now how is it that people get fever? Because destiny brings fever, it afflicts your body. So just because you have a benediction doesn't mean you'll be free from fever. Just because somebody blesses you to have good health doesn't mean that fever will not come to you. Doesn't mean that you will not have digestive issues. True? So why seek blessings like that? Vishnu Bhakti is always potent. Hence, please give us blessings like that. So then, why is it there in the Vedas, the scriptures, that may you have a healthy life, may you have a long life, Ayushman Bhava, Kirtiman Bhava, Yashashvi Bhava, Santan Sukha Bhavati. Why? Because if we don't make it, at least the children will become pure devotees, and because they are pure devotees, then we get a free ticket. Ek ke saath ek free. One free with another person, isn't it? That's a nice concept. Isn't that what we tell us? At least to become very good devotees. Because then, maybe you'll remember us. And by your remembering us, we'll go back home to God. It's great that our parents never became devotees, you know. They were not practicing devotional service. Otherwise, that burden would have fallen on our heads. So we are the lucky generation, I guess. Our parents never came to ISKCON. So they never had this philosophy. That my dear son, daughter, please you become good devotees, because then if you remember me as a parent at time of death. Or maybe if they are in Krishna consciousness, then we have learned how to pass on the buck to the next generation. You know, parents told us that we should become good devotees. Now we are telling you, so you are passing this down, this great treasure we are passing down generation to generation. Human intelligence. It's so corrupted. Really. Parokshavad Vedoyam Balanamanushashanam Karma Mokshaya Karmani Vithatte Yagatam Yatha. People are childish and foolish in their aspirations in life. And therefore they become attracted to materialistic fruitive activities. Although the goal of life is to become free from such activities. Hence the Vedic injunctions, just to keep them attracted to the Vedic path, may indirectly offer them benedictions like you can have good health, you can have good family life, you can have sufficient wealth so that you can go to Vrindavan for a yatra. No need to look after your basic needs because the yatra committee will do that for you. All you have to do is just pay money, and to pay that kind of money, you have to come to Frisco and work 9 to 5 and make money. Correct? And because we make so much money now, every year we can go for yatra. Now, 2 generations back, they did not have so much money, so only once in a lifetime they went to yatra. When they went there, they never thought of coming back. As soon as we land up in yatra, we are always thinking after 5 days we have to leave. After 3 days in yatra, you are like, oh my God, it is. Once I go back, I'm going to take 2 days of complete sleep. Rest. Nice yatras we have in a present day life. So what can be done? We should think about it. What can be done? How can we make it a little less strenuous for us? So that we can be there in Vrindavan without thinking that, oh, whatever austerity we do here, Krishna will bless us. It should not be an austerity. It should be like, oh, I am in Vrindavan, I can see 2 moons walking down the street, Krishna and Balaram. Stunned by that, mesmerized by that. Alright? So just as a child is offered candy because the child is not going to eat bitter medicine. So a child is offered candy with bitter medicine inside it. The child doesn't realize that one is taking the bitter medicine. Similarly, the Vedas offer such benediction, and those who are intelligent, they never succumb to such allurements of the Vedas. Correct? So the next time when we sit in our car and chant Narshingarati, that is not the only time that we chant Narshingarati. You can also do it as soon as you enter your home. But because when you enter your home, you are sure that there is no danger. So why should we chant? In fact, if somebody does that, you'll be like, Prabhu, something wrong. Is the house going to fall? Would there be an accident here? No. They'll say, why? No, because you're chanting Narshingarati when you're entering the house. Is it correct or is it not? Oops. So one must not be distracted by such allurements given by the Vedas. And mind you, even our scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, they are within the body of the Vedas. So the Vedas are not something outside there. Even the Bhagavad Gita is under the purview of the Vedas. So if certain instructions of the Gita seem like, oh, maybe I should wait for Uttarayan to give up my body, relax. Not needed. It's not really, because that is what Bhagavad Gita it is stated, isn't it? 6th chapter. So one must be careful because those allurements, those instructions are meant for people who are not ready to take bitter medicine for their disease. They need to take it disguised as a candy. So Lord Chaitanya is trying to explain to the sannyasi that this is how it is. The sannyasi is not really very happy. The sannyasi started thinking, I think this young boy has become crazy. I think he has met the Hare Krishna people who have brainwashed him. He has become crazy. And he is misguided. And most probably, he appears to be a Brahman Putra, a Brahman boy. But the person with him is an Avdhuta sannyasi. It is association with this sannyasi. How many of us have been in that situation where some of our friends, relatives have told us, because you are going to that temple, that is why now you stop eating onion and garlic. What is wrong with onion and garlic? See, so the sannyasi started thinking that this Avdhuta, this sannyasi, he has brainwashed the boy and I have to protect this boy from this bad person, Nityananda Prabhu. So he said, just see how powerful time is. I have to face that day when an ignorant child is going to be teaching me what are the conclusions of the Vedas. This ignorant child is going to teach me. This is all. Sometimes when you tell your elders, give your elders certain instructions, they're like, that was all I was left to see in this life, That you tell me that how I am doing the wrong thing by eating onion and garlic. So, I have traveled to all the holy places, Mathura, Ayodhya. Do you know? Every year I go to Tirupati. Even there they offer us tea. And you don't drink tea? There are certain things that they do and we don't do. So everyone has their own restrictions. So I've traveled to all the holy places. And yet you are saying that I do not understand what is correct and what is wrong. This child who's just now crawled out of his diapers, he has the audacity to teach me and instruct me. Nityananda Prabhu saw that this situation was becoming very volatile. So Nityananda Prabhu said, "Oh, Goswami, why are you engaging with somebody who has childlike intelligence?" So Nityananda Prabhu tried to pacify him. I was trying, like he's in agreement. So sannyasi immediately felt, oh, this person is not bad. He actually understands that I am correct. And Nityananda Prabhu says, Ami se janiya bhala tomara mahima Amare dekhiya tumi sava kariksham. I actually know how great you are. I actually know how noble you are. Therefore, please, don't consider his words. You know? Pay attention to what I'm saying. You're great. You're amazing. So, for my sake, please forgive him his childish words. Sannyasi immediately became pacified. As long as somebody else glorifies you, you're kind of pacified. You're like, hey, you tell that person. Because you're out of a tight situation, right? You don't no longer have to defend yourself. So you're pacified. Yeah. See, he knows how to. So, yes. Nityananda Prabhu said, very soon we have to leave for some important 9:30 already? I'm so sorry. Important work. Can you give us something to eat on the way after we have taken baths? And he says, no, please. You take your bath and come here and eat. I want to offer you lunch. I want to serve you lunch. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, all right, he's really wanting us to stay back and eat. So let us go take our bath in the Ganga and come back and accept food, accept lunch here. So when they come back, the sannyasi offers them some fruits, some nice vegetables. And then he looks at Nityananda, because Nityananda told him that I know your greatness, right? And he thinks that Nityananda is a sannyasi, so he thinks that we are from the same community. So he looks at Nityananda and he says, Oh Shripad, oh sannyasi, can I bring you some ananda? I'm so fortunate to have great guests like you. He is a son of a Brahmana, you are a sannyasi. Can I bring you some ananda? Now Nityananda Prabhu had travelled the world. He had been amongst many sannyasi communities. He exactly knew what ananda means. So he says, no, it's all right. Sannyasi says, no, please take some ananda. See? So he was drinking out of a pitcher, out of a container. And he says, no, please take some ananda. Please take some ananda. Bliss. Ananda means bliss. Nityananda Prabhu says, no. And turned to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he said, we should go now, we should leave now. The sannyasi was completely in a different zone. He's like, please take some ananda, please take some ananda. And meanwhile, the sannyasi's wife was looking at the two lords and she was really infatuated with them. And she's telling her husband, why are you troubling them? Let them be. And she was really attracted to them. Nityananda Prabhu observed this also. He's like, we should go now. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he turned to Nityananda and he says, in a very, very innocent voice, he says, Kya ananda bale sannyasi? What is this ananda that the sannyasi is speaking of? Nityananda said, Madhira henavasi. Ananda means liquor. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes, Vishnu, he immediately gets up and starts running. Nityananda Prabhu starts running after them. The sannyasi is like, oh, they're in great ecstasy, being at my house. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu runs and jumps into the Ganga. Nityananda Prabhu follows him. And he says, oh my God, we are so fortunate that we have been purified by the wonderful divine waters of the river Ganga. What did I hear? A grahastha sannyasi offering wine, liquor. And then the two lords, they swim a little distance in the Ganga. They come out and walk all their way to Shantipur. However, what is very interesting is how Vrindavan Das Thakur concludes this chapter. He says, the Lord bestowed mercy on womanizers and drunkards, but he annihilates blasphemers even if they are well versed in Vedanta. Although the sannyasi drank wine and intimately associated with women, the Lord visited his house. In the course of their conversation, the Lord taught him religious principles. He took some rest in his house and he ate offerings of food at his house. even if the sannyasi could not attain perfection in this life, he would definitely in the next. Because the Lord blessed him. But the blasphemers will never achieve perfection. Never. In as many lifetimes. What does Vrindavan Das Thakur mean by this? So he himself explains. He says that what he's saying that later on, the Lord as a sannyasi would go to Varanasi. And in Varanasi, there was a huge community of very strict sannyasis. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not associate with them. He did not even go to visit them. The sannyasi had come to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in town. They had heard about him because he was very popular. They wanted him to come to their community. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu avoided meeting up with them, and actually he left Varanasi, Kashi, without meeting the sannyasis. And when the sannyasis, and there were about 60,000 of them, and when the sannyasis heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had left without even making a courtesy call, they started speaking ill about him. Oh, it does not even know etiquette. It does not know that as a sannyasi, when you come to a city, you have to associate with other sannyasis. Have you heard that before in our community? That, oh, they're not living with devotees, they're living with someone else. See, the sannyasis are also interested in the private life of other sannyasis. Whereas sannyasis should not have, they are not grahastha sannyasis in Kashi, they are real sannyasis, real time, they are full-time sannyasis. Very strictly studying Vedanta, but they also were very much interested in the private life of another sannyasi. Oh my God. It is so very interesting how much we want to be interested in others' affairs and pay such less attention to our affairs, because when we pay attention to others' affairs, it is easy to call out their limitations. When we pay attention to our affairs, it's very difficult to live with the fact that we have limitations. So what is the easy way out? The easy way out is call out someone else. Because we don't want to face our own challenges. And this is going, it is like, you play that game with a chair, musical chair. So this is a musical chair that goes on for years and years and years. Just looking for an opportunity. One of the biggest dangers that can be in a community life is when we look for engagement just because we are not able to overcome our own challenges. We are incomplete within ourselves. Therefore, we seek engagement outside, and we call that association. Oh, because I am not practicing nicely, I see. But when you go there and you hear something about someone else, then you are very eager to pass on that message to someone else. And that happens with us also. Somebody speaks about us, and that somebody speaks to somebody else about us. And there are so many factions that arise. And all starts off with the spark. The spark of everyone wanting to be interested in someone else except themselves. So do I have any statement to support my view? I have. I am biased. Therefore, I choose this statement. Janma sarthak kori. First, become perfect yourself. Kara parupakar. And then try to look into the imperfections of someone else. First, become perfect yourself, and then try to see if there are imperfections in someone else. Otherwise, you can always engage with them and tell them about good things in Krishna consciousness. You can help them about different activities in Krishna consciousness. However, paying attention to imperfection in others, first become perfect oneself. Janma sarthak kori kara paropkar. How do we take it as? Oh, because Prabhupada said that even if you are not perfect, you should still help others become perfect. You should still preach Krishna consciousness. It is very good, you should preach Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, we fall into a trap of looking at their imperfections and speaking about it. That is a pitfall. So, the verse, what we started off with, is the conclusion of this chapter. Savara Koriba Gaura Sundar Uddhara Vyatirikta Vaishnav Nindaka Durachar. So, when the sannyasis, when we speak about Vaishnav Ninda, what it is in correlation to Vrindavan Das Thakur is explaining Vaishnav Ninda in the context of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to Kashi. The residents, the sannyasis of Kashi started speaking ill about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this context is a practicing devotee. In this context, we are not looking at him as God. We are looking at him as practicing devotee. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not visit him. But the story goes ahead that in the next, when he was returning back from Vrindavan, somebody intervened. That is another topic. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did go and visit them. That is another topic. So we'll not go into that story. The final verse of this chapter that I would like to present is Madhya Pera Ghare Kaila Snana Bhojana Nindaka Vedanti No Paila Darshan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath and ate at the house of a drunkard, a grahastha sannyasi, but the blasphemous Vedantists, the sannyasis, could not get his darshan. So just take out the word Vedantists from there and put in the word practicing devotees. That's it. It will be helpful for us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would eat and drink at the house of a drunkard and a grahastha sannyasi, but blasphemous practicing devotees could not get his darshan. Because what do you blaspheme? Based on what do you blaspheme other devotees? Based on rules, regulations, and scripture injunction. That is how you blaspheme them. So basically, you and me, when we do that, we are Vedantists. Because we use the Vedas and Vedic instructions to blaspheme them. Therefore, this is us, if we are doing that. So what should we do? Should pay very, very close attention to our own practices. Always, always, and always. And if perchance we get to hear of somebody else's practices, we should try Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu and jump in the Ganga and get purified. We don't have the Ganga here. So what do? You should say Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu and go and take nice prasad. At least you will enjoy that. So try not to enjoy hearing about the imperfections of other people, because we need not interfere in other people's private affairs. You want to be safe, you want to be protected, you don't need to hear about others' imperfections. Safe and protected, put an alarm system around you. Only those that are recommended by you yourself through your experience, not through the community grapevine, no, by you yourself, personal experience, only let those people enter your homes and your personal lives. Because you have had experience of interacting with them. And such trusted people, their opinion you can consider. However, the grapevine Look at it. Be alerted about it. Go about your own business. And what is our business? Our business is not simply make others chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Is that our business? What is our business? Is it simply make others chant Hare Krishna and be happy? What is our business? Simply chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So let us get about our business, which is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Alright, so I'll stop here. Sorry, I really went late. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I did not pay attention to the clock at all. Otherwise, I would not have digressed in so many ways during my presentation. So, any questions, any comments? Does anyone have any questions? Rajeshwar, there's a question on your face. No? Okay, alright. Yes.
I mean, generally in
Thank you for the wonderful class. So, for generally when we hear about Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's like most of them are like very basic stories, like not, I'm just comparing to our regular life, we are busy here and here and there and like that. But if we see Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's common things like people do meet and then they talk and then they take the star and like, everything is so how do you compare with us? What is the lesson we can learn?
Okay.
We are running around here and there.
So it seems that we have a very busy life, where they have a life that is a little more easygoing.
Very common.
They do not have really very busy schedules, right?
Okay.
So one of the things is that there was no electricity at that time, so that gave them some time to figure out how to use their day. However, if I and you would have somebody write our biography, then the biography would only have events from our life that are really important, and those events would only describe 1% of our life. So reading our biography, people could also think that we have an easy life, because it is a very edited version of our life. Only a few events have been described, right? So similarly, when we look at Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, any other biographies that are there, what we call as Leela depictions. So there are very edited versions, limited events from their lifetime. So we cannot draw a conclusion as to how they would lead everyday life based on that. Alright? It is not that every day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every evening had to take mashal and go to Kazi's house. It only happened one evening in the entire life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and maybe in the entire life of Advaita Acharya. But using that example, if you think that almost every week they would take mashal and go to Harinam to chant Kazi's house, that is over-assumption, right? So, they did have very busy schedules, depending upon whatever they were doing. So, we cannot really draw those kind of parallels from such references. Is that okay? Okay. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for beautiful class.
You're welcome.
So Prabhu, when you say blasphemy, the definition of blasphemy, trying to still understand and digest, is it insulting or finding faults in others? Blasphemy is also used in the context of disrespecting devotees in terms of their belief.
Right.
Is it the belief that we are questioning in others, or is it just generally finding faults in others?
Blasphemy is a situation where you want to hurt someone, and thus you want to hurt your own consciousness too, just because you want to poke your nose in their business. That is blasphemy. Now, if we really want to poke our nose and if we really want to concern ourselves with others' private life, then we should qualify ourselves and have that kind of authority. Like the police at certain times, they can come and the FBI they can really look into all our private affairs. The IRS can do that, right? These are authorized entities. But these entities, they comprise less than 0.001% of the population. Isn't it? So, when we really want to look into other people's lives and especially look into their imperfections, from our perspective, what are imperfections, and then hurt them, and that is blasphemy. When you want to hurt someone, you're actually hurting yourself. Your consciousness is being polluted. Alright? So it's not healthy for oneself too. Is that okay? Can I stop you? Yes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
His Grace Roni Prabhu